Hello YouTube, I'm just having my little snack. The Fulfilled range, in fairness, is very good when it comes to protein bars. In terms of taste, the amount of calories for the protein serving you're getting, pretty good bar. And the dark chocolate salted caramel flavor, ooh, does things to me. Shout out to Geometry next door, supplying me the last coffee of the day. Short Americano, steamed oat milk. It's real white girl shit, but I like it. Let me have my thing, okay? Really tasty. Wow. You definitely appreciate food a lot more when you're dieting, especially when you're dieting for as long as I have. That was lovely. That chocolate protein bar is like my midday snack lately. So if I have time in the morning, if I'm not up too early with clients, I'll have my breakfast. Clients, train, which I have done. I have like half my steps hit for the day. I have my session done, first round of clients done, morning clients. And in exactly 1 hour, I will be doing a posing lesson. So it's all go. So far, prep has been going very well. Just give you a little update. Around 2 weeks ago, I found my body was just getting a little bit beat up from training.
You may get home now. Survive!
So I took my usual weekends of training, which is Saturday, Sunday. I do an upper leg session. I just took that off and had a rest day Friday, Saturday, Sunday and Monday. And boy, oh boy, was that the right move. It was a hard thing to do because I'm so close to stage now. It's actually crazy how fast time is going. And mentally, you have momentum. You want to keep it going. You want to do everything in your power to ensure that you just keep making progress and you're retaining your performance and holding on to tissue. And sometimes that means pulling back. And it was definitely the case for me. I just had signs of fatigue and I felt like there's going to be a potential injury brewing if I didn't slow things down. And it's funny, I've only done that once throughout this, like, let's say 7 months of dieting. Whereas with my nutrition, I've been pushing and pulling back this whole time. Diet hard throughout the week. At the weekends, there's been back-to-back refeeds every weekend since I started this. And it's like the same concept. I was doing that with my nutrition and it's been working out so well. I wasn't applying that to my training. It's just interesting. I'm more emotionally attached to my training. I don't just train for results. I also train for the love of it. And it just makes me feel better and happier as an individual. Like, people will know if you love training, the days you're not training, I don't know, your mood isn't the same. At least it isn't the same for me anyways. So I've just trained this morning. I had my push session, nice session. I trained really hard and did the best I could, but I will say the numbers weren't as good as the numbers last week, but that's okay. And I'm actually quite happy with my mentality towards that. Like, I didn't throw my toys out of the pram. I'm not worried. As long as you do whatever you can do on that day, that's all you can do. Do. So even though the numbers weren't good, that's fine. Even when I was bulking and there was a plethora of energy there from all the calories I was consuming, you'd have good days and bad days of training anyways. So you can very easily think to yourself when you're dieting, oh shit, that's the diet hitting me hard now. You can psych yourself out, and you don't want to do that either. You need to be aware of that because the psychology of all this stuff is huge, which we'll get into. So that was a bit of a tangent. I just wanted to give you guys a bit of an update as to where I'm at, how things are going this far out. And we'll get into everything today. I will say what I'm finding really tough lately is I've ramped up the amount of days I'm practicing posing, and that is so hard, let me tell you. Really hard. I don't usually sweat too much when I'm training or when I'm doing steps, but when I'm posing, my God, that gets to me. So it's good that I'm doing this now and I'm struggling now, because I obviously don't want this to be a problem when I'm under those lights in just over 10 weeks time. So today, from the title of the video, I'm going to sort of give you a framework a blueprint maybe as to how you're going to think about getting to single digit body fat. I'm not there yet, but I'm damn near close, and I will get there. I have confidence that I will get there because my approach has just been solid so far. The head isn't gone. Mentally, I'm still firing on all cylinders, and I'm just in a good place overall. And I think a lot of my success is down to the approach I've taken. So I'm going to get into everything you need to consider today if you want to get to single digit body fat, or maybe you just want a good process for getting extremely lean. Because single digit body fat, this is a means to an end. This is not something that is going to be sustainable. I know you know that. I'm getting on a bodybuilding stage. I'm doing this as an experiment, as a personal challenge. It's very exciting, but in no means is this somewhere I want to stay. Like, having abs is cool and I'm really impressed with what I'm seeing with my physique, but at the same time, like, I'm not too attached to it either, which is really nice, because I know if this was me 8 years ago, I would have just been so obsessed with how I'm currently looking, I would have lost my shit. I just wouldn't have had the mental maturity or the bandwidth to deal with all this stuff and not get too carried away. So, anyways, with all that being said, the first thing I think we need to consider when looking to get extremely lean is our timeline. You need to have a long-term mindset when it comes to this stuff. Like, I have been dieting since January. We are now at the end of June. I have another 10 weeks to go until the first show. I have another 4 weeks to add on top of that for the next show. I only plan on doing 2 shows. Could that change? Potentially. So that means I could be dieting for even longer. And that's just to give you a sort of perspective. Okay, Dave has gotten really lean. Dave has also been doing this for a long time. I've been dieting for the majority of the year. So just take that into consideration. Even if let's say you're dieting, you might decide to dip out on week 12 or week 16. You might be happy, but it's better to have a long-term mindset anyways. Take it from me, because I've had the short-term mindset before. Been training for 8 years. I've seen countless clients come in my door or work with me online. And I just know the short-term mindset doesn't get you very far. People who are in a rush to see change, they usually just don't see the program out. They don't make it till the end. It's a flawed mindset that beginners have to want your results very fast. Whereas if you've seen anyone who's gotten really shredded before, all these people understand that they need a lot of patience and they need to commit to the plan for a long period of time. Anyone who's gotten shredded has had patience and they've committed to the plan long term. Now, there's pros and cons of doing a longer cut. So one of the pros is that the slower you do this, the more likely you are to retain your hard-earned muscle tissue. Hard-earned muscle tissue. I don't know why I struggle to say that. Which is important, extremely important for me, because I'm doing a bodybuilding show and you're trying to display as much of your muscle as you can, so you don't want to lose that along the way. So let's say if you have a slower rate of weight loss, a longer time frame will allow you to lose at a slower rate. You're most likely going to be losing fat and keeping your muscle. Granted, you're doing a lot of other things like managing your recovery, training really hard, you have good protein target. But in terms of retaining muscle tissue as well, timeline is quite important for that reason too. The slower the better. Also, if you have a longer timeline, it's less likely to have a negative impact on your lifestyle. Whereas you might think, the longer I diet for, is that not going to drive me crazy? Not really, because if you give yourself a long timeline, you have the luxury of, like, let's say going on holidays or having events or nights out, just things popping up as they do in life, and they're not going to upset your progress or throw you out a routine too much. And even if they do, you've given yourself a longer timeline. If you had only given yourself 6 to 12 weeks, somewhere around that mark, that is not a lot of time to diet, but some people do it. for that length of time. If you give yourself only 6 to 12 weeks, you're going to be in a rush. So maybe in those 6 to 12 weeks, you might be like, okay, I need to be perfect. So within those 6 to 12 weeks, you just might be very strict on yourself. You might allow yourself to go on holidays or go to certain events. Like for example, me and my girlfriend, we've went on like 3 trips this year. Went to Sardinia for a week in Italy. We went to Amsterdam. We just got back from the Aran Islands at the weekend there. And that's really nice. And plus, it's not fair to the people around you that you're going to put your life on hold, but then they're not doing this competition either. So it's quite selfish on your behalf if you're just like willing to like put everything on hold and they have to just accept that as well. So just wanted to give the pros there of a longer timeline. And really, if we're talking about truly getting peeled and doing this naturally, you need a long timeline, okay? So that's the first thing. The second thing is your environment. So I have to say, in large part, my success with my physique this year, my fat loss, I have to give a lot of credit to just my overall environment and my lifestyle and just how life is going for me. I'm quite content. My day-to-day is quite stress-free. I'm happy in my relationships, like with my girlfriend, family, friends, clients, like work is going well. There's just no unnecessary stress anywhere in my life this year, which is really nice. And I don't think that can be overlooked. And that's why I mentioned this quite early on in the video, because it's not something people often consider, but like there is a time and a place to do this. And if you have shit going on, if you're not in the right frame of mind, mentally, maybe you're struggling, there's like stress there from other areas in life, be it financial, be it with relationships, be it with work, it may be worth considering tackling those head on, dealing with those prior to doing this. Stress isn't inherently good or bad, it's dose dependent, like anything. So when we train, that's a stressor, and that's a stressor we want. But then in order to recover properly, we want to get out of that stress state. That's known as the parasympathetic state for a lot of the bodybuilders out there. So a parasympathetic state is basically just getting into that relaxed state. So you obviously don't want to be stressed when you're not training, when you're eating a meal, because it'll affect digestion. You don't want to be stressed at nighttime because it may negatively impact your sleep, which will then impact everything else if you're getting bad sleep. Your ability to retain your muscle, your cognitive function the next day, your motivation to train and stay on track with your diet. You just want to try and minimize stress where you can. Next thing to consider. So often when people think about getting shredded and getting peeled, we look at the diet. And although the diet is or means to getting peeled, what also helps is actually having a lot of muscle mass on your frame in the first place. So I won't spend too much time on this one, but I've been training for 14 years and I've built quite a decent amount of muscle naturally. That's something that you can't overlook, because I always say there's 2 ways of getting lean. There's losing fat, but then there's gaining muscle. Okay, so I've spent a lot of time gaining muscle. So maybe you want to get shredded, but maybe you don't have a lot of muscle on your frame right now. So it mightn't be the best course of action, especially if you're someone young or you're just new to training. If you really want to get shredded, then it's worth considering putting more time into building muscle and potentially doing a gaining phase or a couple of gaining phases before you truly decide to get peeled. Next up is having some sort of data. You have metrics for tracking and measuring your progress along the way. I can't overstate this enough. This is arguably one of the most important things I'm going to touch on today. I'm tracking my progress through my Google Excel sheet that I create for myself and all my clients. I love this. And there's a huge correlation I found down through the years of the clients who fill this out every day who get the results they want. And it's no different for me in my case. It's so important because everything I need to know is on that sheet. And as well as the sheet, I'm taking progress photos to see visual changes, because sometimes, especially if you're in the business of building muscle and losing fat at the same time, that won't reflect in the scale, but visually you might look leaner. So that tells you you've built muscle and you've lost fat. And track and train and performance, just so you know that's going. But back to the Google Sheet, this has been an absolute winner for me. I'll put it up on screen. I've just been able to see, first and foremost, you want to be able to see if what you're doing is working. Okay, you don't want to be shooting in the dark. So often people try to like lose weight, but their system or their approach from the very get-go is it's flawed. It could be better. And it's so important for even your own motivation, because I've been doing this since January. What is going to keep you motivated for that length of time? It's the progress you're going to see, but you're not like, you have this starting point where you're like, in my case, I was extremely svelte. I was like a svelte water buffalo at the start, and you're trying to get to this shredded point, and you have so much time in between. What is going to be the thing that's going to get you going? It's those little wins along the way. It's seeing your weekly average weight go down. It's seeing, the visual progress you're seeing in your pictures. That gives you a kick. That drives you on to keep going and to keep pushing, knowing that you're going in the right direction. If you don't have that, and like you're doing 4 weeks and things start to get tough, and you're like, oh, this is getting tough. Is it even working? You're less likely to stick to it. So data is important. So we need data as well in order to be objective. So I can look at everything, the photos and the Google tracking sheet, and it requires you to be honest. It requires you to track absolutely everything and to fill this out and be honest. And I've no problem doing that, because I'm genuinely curious to see, what are my what calories and like steps do I start to lose weight on? And this has been incredibly useful for me in that I watch like a lot of YouTube videos, and I watch a lot of other natural bodybuilders. I'm fascinated by this stuff. I love it. And sometimes I listen to bodybuilders and their calories are so low. And in my head, I'm like, shit, should my calories be lower than what they are? But then I just revert back to the sheet. Is what I'm doing working? Yes, it is. So this sheet has saved me from potentially making unnecessary decisions regarding my nutrition or my training or my steps. It saved me from making rash decisions that didn't need to get made, because you can hurt yourself. You can slash your calories too soon or too low when that did not need to happen, and just make all of this harder than what it needs to be. So honestly, that's probably one of the most important things I'm going to touch on today is just having metrics for tracking your progress, having ways of tracking your progress. It is huge. My Google Excel sheet, winner. Next up, obviously we have to touch on training, nutrition, and activity, but I wanted to save, that's the more obvious stuff. I wanted to save that for closer to the end of the video. And we're going to touch on adjustments as well. So with your training, it was so important to me regarding my training that I stayed training like an absolute beast. I touched on it earlier in the video when I said I wanted to just lose fat and retain muscle tissue. A big part of that is your training, because first and foremost, in order to build muscle, the training signal needs to be there. And how that signal gets created is from hard training, pushing your sets close to failure. Your sets are in close proximity to failure, and you're trying to do a little bit more work over time. You're active in trying to progress in your training. So it was extremely important to me that I maintained a strong mentality throughout this entire diet. And I have to say, I've done so well so far. Like, I can confidently look back in all my sessions this year and be super proud in my performance. And mentally, that just puts me in such a good spot. I just feel like I'm winning. It just helped towards the momentum. I feel like it's contributed, the way I've been training, it's contributed towards the way I feel. And I've actually made progress in certain areas. So like, for example, I hit recently, when I was 82 kilos 2 weeks ago, I benched 160 kilos for one. I only benched 160 kilos for the first time last year when I was like 95, 96 kilos. So that's like a reduction in body weight of 14 kilos, and then hitting 160. Unbelievable. Like, my max is 170 for one. But like I said, I hit that max back when I was 98.5 kilograms last year. So that's amazing. I also like the dips. You've seen the dips have gone really well. I've hit a 100 kilo dip for one on 2 separate occasions. I've got 90 kilo dips for 3 reps, 80 kilo dips for like 7 reps, I think was the best I did. The shoulder press, like I'm still retaining anywhere from like 45 kilos for 6 to 8 reps. Today it was 6 reps. Last week's session I got 8. The Zercher squat, for the first 6 months, the Zercher squat, I've actually was like progressing. For those first 6 months, the Zercher squat, I was like an animal. And I even managed to do a 200 kilo Zercher squat for 1 rep at 83 kilograms. Whereas I got 200 kilograms last year, but I was between 96 and 98 kilograms. So that is incredible. So I'm so happy with the training performance, the fact that I've managed to make progress in certain areas or at least retain it. Now, some days you have good days and bad days. But like I said, that was happening on my bulk last year as well. But yeah, I wanted to prove a point with my training this year. Because too often people get into a diet, and I've had clients say this to me, like, oh, my session wasn't as good today, Dave. I'd say it was the diet. But like, they're 3 weeks into their diet. I'm like, dude, like, get rid of that mentality, because it's not. I've been doing this shit for 7 months. You've been doing it for 3 weeks, you're fine. Especially at the start of your diet, where you have more fat tissue there. Like, that's energy in reserve to be used. Like, you're okay. It's a shit mindset to have. And like, there's too many people trying to sound smart, and they're hearing people on Instagram talk, or someone very like science-based saying, oh, you're going into a deficit now, you're not going to have much energy there to train really hard.
My choice! My choice! My choice!
It's not helpful. It's actually not helpful to have that mindset going in. Like, I have had the mindset that I can still build muscle with my training. Even you might be thinking, but you're in a deficit, you're not going to build muscle, and you've been training for this long. It serves me more to have that mindset than to be like, I'm in a deficit, less energy, oh, I'm tired. It's just like, that's a crap mentality to have. And I actually do believe I did build muscle, at least at the first like 3-4 months of this phase. Because like that, even though your calories are down, there's fat tissue still there that your body can use. And I've been training like an animal. So strong mentality with your training. In terms of my training, I did a full video on that. I'll pop the thumbnail here. I threw it up in the last like month or two, exactly what I'm doing. It's a full 45-minute video going through my whole program. I'm not going to go through it in this video because this video will be too long. But with my training, in terms of the adjustments I've made, I think I've only swapped out and got rid of like a couple of exercises. At the start of the year, I was doing ring dips. If anyone's a long time follower, I was doing ring dips, but I found as I was getting stronger with those, I was enjoying them. But as I was getting stronger, my elbow joint was just feeling it more and more and more. And it got to the point where I was like, scrap them. Because like, I don't want unnecessary pain. And my parallel dips, like the dips with straight bars, I was getting really strong in them. So the fact that I was doing 2 sets of dips in the one session, it was just unnecessary to keep the ring dips in, especially when they were causing me pain. So naturally, that was an easy decision to be like, gone. And basically everything, I've maintained the same exercises, same style of training this whole way throughout. Up until the last 2 weeks, I just needed to calm down a bit. Now that I'm getting leaner and I'm getting closer to stage, I just don't want to be foolish with my training. I'm a bit of a lunatic when I train. Like, I have no problem training hard, and at this stage I don't want to hurt myself. So what I have done is like, there's now I'm not taking any chances with any like last reps. If there's like a rep there where it's like hairy enough, I won't do it, because it's just not worth the risk at this point. And I've increased my reps. So last week, for example, with my leg session, my Zercher squats, I did 3 sets of 10 to 12 reps. Holy shit, that was hard. But like, I was typically working up to like a really heavy single, and then doing like a set of like 5 or 6 reps. But now I just don't want the risk of like lifting too heavy at this point, being 10 weeks out from a show. So I've just kind of increased the reps a little bit at this point, but I'm still training like an absolute animal and still training with like 0 reps in reserve with the majority of my lifts. It's just the way it's just how I like to train. So that's like the adjustments I've made with my training, and I think it's the right call at this point. But like for the first 6 months, there was no need to make those adjustments. So bear that in mind, people. Your mentality with training is so important, because I am proof with the lifts and the progress I made all this year that you can still train and make serious progress and potentially build muscle. And like that's going to be more true for some of you watching, because you will have less training experience than me. The longer you train, the more adapted you are to training. So it becomes less and less likely. But I don't want to believe that in my head, because like I said, it doesn't serve me. Next up is nutrition. So I have a structured but flexible approach, and similar to my point on training, I've done so many videos on nutrition, so please, if you haven't watched them, go back and watch them. There's so many useful bits of information in there, like just frameworks for how you're thinking about dieting, that I'm just not going to get into in this video because I don't want to repeat myself. I'm already been talking for like it's 29 minutes here on my camera. But yeah, I have a structured but like flexible approach. It's kind of like sort of like the best of both worlds if you were to look at like meal plans and if it fits your macros. I'm just taking the good from both of them and applying it to my situation, and it's fantastic because I sort of have like, instead of a meal plan, I have like a meal template in my head. So I eat 3 times throughout the day, a big breakfast, 1 small snack, which you saw here was the protein bar, my coffee, and then I'll eat later again, and that will be my last meal, and that's a fairly big meal. It's like my meat, carb, veg meal with my protein oats after, as like sort of like the dessert, and that's where I'm getting most of my calories from. And that just makes things simple. I know I don't have to think too much about what I'm gonna do, because that's just the system that's working for me, that I'm gonna stick to. And I go to the shop on the same day every week. I go every Monday, I buy the same shit, might switch up the meats here and there for variety, switch up the carb sources, like if I'm not feeling rice and I want to do more chips, potatoes, then I'll get potatoes to just have air fried potatoes, or do like your own taco fry, just something like that for variability if I'm like craving something. That's the beauty of having a structured approach, but then allowing yourself to be flexible for cravings. Or, I touched on earlier, if you're going on holidays, if you have an event coming up, like I have a stag coming up in 2 weeks' time, like myself and Katie go out for dinner at the weekends. The structure, but then having the flexibility, it really is just the best of both worlds, because at no point are you gonna ever get stressed, because like I can go away on holidays, and the fact that I'm not eating my usual foods, I can just hit my protein target, 2 to 3 servings of fruit and veg, and then make it work with whatever foods. Like if I'm going out for dinner or stopping at a shop, I can pick up a protein bar, protein milk, or certain meals, and I can just make it work. I don't have to stress that I'm not at home eating my usual typical meals. And that's important too, because again, it allows you to be more social if you want. So with a lot of this stuff, trying to get really diced, it does require being robotic and living like a bit of a hermit lifestyle, which is suited to me because I'm a bit of a recluse anyways. I enjoy my own company. It's where I recharge my batteries, and that's especially true because my job demands the exact opposite. I'm a PT. I'm with people on average between 6 to 8 hours a day, Monday to Friday. And when you're with someone one-to-one, it's not like a regular job where you like have periods where no one's watching you can slack off. You can't do that. You're so switched on for every hour you're training someone. And I love my job and I love my clients. They're all great. But obviously it's a job at the end of the day, and it takes its toll mentally. So I definitely I just enjoy my own company. It's where I recover best. But yeah, besides that, when something like social does come up, like a trip away, stag party, someone's engagement party, whatever, you can go to that, and whatever food options are there, you can make it work. It's not a big deal. And isn't that nice? Isn't that nice to not be anxious? Like you're doing a diet and be like, oh fuck, I don't have the usual foods. What am I going to do? And then either you're not going to go to that thing, and if you want to go to that thing, that's when that's a problem. Because I would never stop myself or clients from doing something they really want to do. It's like, go have fun, make it work. Or you do go to it and then you just eat all around you, because if you're not 100% on the diet, then you're 100% off. And that's not the mentality that's going to serve us here either, because that just won't work. So you really are getting the best of both worlds by having some structure throughout your week, knowing that you do the shop once a week, you buy the same stuff, you're eating the same meals pretty much Monday to Friday. At the weekends, I allow myself one meal out with my girlfriend. Like we've been going for pizza the last weekends. We were in the Aran Islands the weekend. We're having like Guinness stew and all that good stuff. This weekend again, we're going for pizza. And that's really nice, because again, I'm doing this competing thing, but I don't want that to affect our relationship either. I still want to do relationship, coupley stuff with my girlfriend. That would be unfair to her. And plus I enjoy it. I like the fact that I can do these things, and part of why I can do these things is because with my nutrition, I've scheduled every weekend back-to-back refeed days. So I've been dieting either 4 to 5 days throughout the week up until now. 4 to 5 days aggressive, and then 2 to 3 days at the weekend refeed. Bring my calories up to just over maintenance, and that just gives you a lot more freedom with your food to go out for food and have like extra chocolate and stuff like that, because I'm a big foodie.
And for the lady, perhaps a salad?
Perhaps not.
And it's just made this whole process way more enjoyable, way more sustainable. I've never, not once have I hit a weight loss plateau in the last 7 months, and a big part of that is the refeeds at the weekends, and it's just a nice psychological break. It's like I don't have to be so strict to myself and thinking about calories or bodybuilding, which is huge, because that comes back to like the psychological component and just not being so stressed up or wound up all the time with like, I have to be on top of my diet. So it's really nice. So I'm just going to take a look at my notes just in case I left anything out. So yeah, I track my calories. With my calories, I obviously started off at the start higher than what my calories are now, but I've only really made 2 adjustments to my calories in this whole entire 7 months. I started off with like 2,500 calories Monday to Thursday or Friday, depending if I'm doing 2 to 3 refeed days at the weekend or not. And that for me is aggressive. For some of you might be like 2,500. That's like my maintenance. We're different people, but that's aggressive for me, because the year previous, my calories were 5,000 plus every day. Like some days 6,000 on my bulk. So you have to look at it from that perspective. 2,500 from 5,000 plus is almost cutting your daily calories in half. Okay, so that was quite aggressive for me. And like I said, according to my sheet, it was enough to get the weight loss going, and actually seeing a good bit of weight loss, like an average like 0.5 to 0.8 of a kilo each week. So that kept me going up until only this week. I've lowered my calories down to like 2,250, and I actually felt the difference in the last 2 days with that adjustment. I've been a good bit hungrier. Yesterday evening I was really hungry. I had my last meal, like that big meal I was talking about, the meat, carb meal and the oats. After an hour, I was hungry. When I was at my client's in the evening, I was like, shit. But here we are, we're 10 weeks out. You're going to feel things a lot more. But yeah, I've only made the change to calories. That was one change, and that was only this week. And the second adjustment was about 3 weeks ago. I took out that 3rd day of refeeding at the weekend. So it's 5 low days and now 2 back-to-back refeed days, which is still fine. I'm actually like, that's really good that I've only made 2 changes. And I'm gonna touch on this when I touch on like the adjustments a bit more, but actually no, I may as well talk about it now. You don't want to make too many adjustments. You want to try something, see if it works, and if it works, do not try and fix what isn't broken, because you have a toolbox here of everything you can use for your dieting phase. You don't want to use all your tools at once. And psychologically, it's nice to know that if you do hit a weight loss plateau, if things do slow down, you have things in your box where you're like, okay, I can pull this, I can try this now. And that puts you in a great mindset. So for me, I still have things I can use if I feel like I'm stuck. My calories are still in a favorable spot that if I need to lower them again, then I can lower them. I have room to do that. If I need to take a refeed day out, if I need to increase my steps, there's just things here I can use, and that's good to know. If I was to use everything at the start, which is like a rookie error, to like go too intense too quickly, one, it's not sustainable. If you're making the transition from either like bulking or maintenance to the fat loss phase, you're making it harder than what it needs to be. And then what happens if you run into a wall? Where do you go next? So I have this toolbox here of refeeds, diet breaks, and actually something with my nutrition as well. I had a diet break sometime in May when I went on holidays to Italy for that week. I increased my calories. They were a minimum like 4,000 every day. One day was like close to 5,000. And that's fantastic because like that gives your body a nice break. It kind of replenishes itself a good bit more, gets really healthy. And I've seen that diet break. I've seen for clients, I've seen it kind of get the fat loss process going again when you return back to normal calories. So instead of just like constantly digging, lowering your calories, if you have like, if those negative adaptations that come with dieting, if they start to happen, you give yourself a week where you're like, extra calories, here you go, buddy. We have food coming in again. You can get things back to normal. And then you can actually go back to the same calories you started with and you'll start losing weight again, which is what happened for me. It's just that I'm 10 weeks out now. I just want my weight loss to be a little bit more aggressive again because it's crunch time, baby. I want to bring my best package to stage. The last thing I need to touch on with nutrition is there was 3 adjustments I made. At the start of my diet, I was keeping my protein in and around 190 grams daily to 200 grams. I changed that maybe 3 months ago. I am trying to hit 240 grams every day. Now, I'm not anal about that. Some days I'm hitting 240, maybe 250, 200, but like I'm aiming for a higher protein target. Why I'm doing that is because protein is more satiating, meaning that you're going to feel more satisfied, especially when you're on a diet, you have to deal with hunger. That's very important. And it's more protein. It gives me peace of mind in knowing that I have a higher chance of retaining my muscle as I lose weight if I keep my protein higher. My calories, as of now, Monday to Friday, 2,250. Saturday to Sunday, they're upwards of 4,000 Saturday and usually like 3,500 calories Sunday. So calories are in a nice spot. Next up, we're getting into activity. So this is in the form of steps or cardio. Choose whatever you want to choose here. Choose the method you're going to enjoy the most, that you feel like you're going to stick to, and that suits your lifestyle. So for some people, you might work a 9 to 5. You might need to like do your steps or your cardio in one all-out go. That's fine. For me, I've been doing steps, and I kind of break my steps up for like 3 mini walks throughout the day. They're not small walks by any means. I have 15,000 steps I'm trying to hit every day right now. So I'm trying to hit like 5,000 steps first part of the day, middle part of the day, and then after this video I'll do my pose lesson, I'll go home, I'll get my last portion of my steps I need to get done. That's been working really well for me. I chose steps because it's low impact. It's not going to mess with my recovery too much. I'm going outside for fresh air. That's nice. I actually enjoy going for walks. I listen to YouTube or podcasts. It's a good time. I'm learning shit and I'm getting my steps done. And plus it's trackable, okay? So at the start, my steps, before even starting this diet, my steps were averaging 4,000 steps a day. So I only increased my steps to 7,000 to 8,000 steps for like the first 2 months. After that, for like months 3 to 5, I was aiming for like 10 to 12,000, and only in the last month, I'm like trying to hit 15,000 steps a day. So again, that's just like in my toolbox, I've been able to use that and increase my activity, which is probably one of the reasons why I haven't had to touch my calories too much either. So for someone who knows they want a lot of food, they want more food and they're happy to deal with the like doing more activity, then that might be a good option for you. Again, this is like where the personalization comes into it. What works for me might be different for you. One thing that's really helped me is not being so focused on getting my steps done in one go. Like if I have 5-10 minutes to spare, I will like hop on the treadmill in between clients. I'll go out for a walk out on the road. Sometimes that has honestly been 5 minutes, 10 minutes. It all adds up, okay? And maybe some days you can't hit your step target because shit happens, life happens, that's fine. On the days you can do more steps, just do more steps. If you're in an office, try and get up like 5-10 minutes and just move around. It's just good. It's good for your lower back as well, because like sitting down in that position for too long, it's not good for your body to just stay stagnant in that position. And I've just been really enjoying my walks. Like I have nice scenery around me. I'm getting fresh air. It's just good for the mental. Last but not least, what I feel is so important to touch on here is your whole perspective when it comes to this thing. If you decide to do this, know what to expect, the good and the bad, because it's all well and good being like, oh yeah, I want to get shredded, I can't wait to have abs, but then not be aware of like the cost of that. You're obviously going to be hungry. There's going to be less energy. While I have like a structured and flexible approach to my food, I can't have what I want all the time. And these are things you're going to have to accept and be aware of, okay? And then it's your perspective towards this whole thing. No one is forcing you to do this. And remember, you enjoy this. This is particularly true for me. Whenever this gets tough, I tell myself, I actually love this shit. I love bodybuilding. I love training. I love seeing my body go through these changes. And it's just a healthier and more productive mindset to be in, rather than being the victim, being like, oh, saying to people, I can't do this and dieting is so hard. It's like, no one is forcing you to do this, okay? And we're doing this out of choice. Some people are starving because they have no choice. So this is a luxury to do this for aesthetic reasons, okay? So your outlook on this is incredibly important as well. And with all that being said, guys, that is like sort of my whole approach and how I'm thinking about all of this. It's like my guide, my blueprint, whatever, to getting into single digit body fat. Hopefully that was useful. You took something away from it, because I've been talking for 46 minutes. But yeah, I feel like there's some good shit in there that you're gonna be able to take something away from. With all that being said, guys, if you are interested in coaching, I do this full time. It's my gig. It's what I love. Just send me an email. My email will be below, and we can schedule a free consult and see if we're a good fit. Have a good day, and as always, train hard.